I wanted to show you how you create this, right? So I've mentioned that there is I found a video or an article called made by hbninfotech.com, and this person have created a protractor, and from that idea and his file that he created under Visual Basic in Word document and used the macro with Visual Basic, you can create your degrees. So I'll show you how he done that. Well, how I sort of changed that on mine actually. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make that print for the to create that or something similar. So the original way I found out how to do it, it's not my idea. So it's this person that from infotech.com, HBN actually, hbninfotech.com. There was an article and there's a website where he shows you how to make a protractor. And so I took that idea to create my Variac screen for having that. So under Word, you open a Word document, and you need to have developer activated on the properties. Anyway, you need to see his video on hbninfotech.com and you will know how to do it. But this is the difference. I have changed part of his code to be able to get my correct degrees for my Variac scale, voltage scale. So you go Insert, Shapes, Line. Hold the Shift key down and the line will be exactly horizontal. And there's a line created. For example, if you want it 8 millimeters long, which in the end is going to be, that's a whole diameter, right? In the end, we're only going to use the radius because we'll need to modify it to get a radius. So I'll set that to 8 centimeters long. And we got to put a number. Okay. So then you go Insert, Word Art, choose a word art there. For this, put 8 font and put 3 numbers in there, 0 to 5 for example. Use, let's say, Arial. Okay, there's our number there. Shape fill, put black. Outline, no outline. Then you go to wrap text in front of text. If you don't use in front of text, you won't be able to move that number. Okay, so now I can grab this number and put it where I want. So you can highlight that, which is already, hold the Shift key and highlight the line. Go to Format, you go Align Left for example, and then line middle. And what it did is it lined these up there. Now we got to change the degrees of the angle degree of the number. So only highlight the number, go to Format, and let's say set it like that. Okay. And of course I need a space there, so I'm going to move it forward until I got a gap. Highlight it, move it. So now I've got a bit of a gap after the line. So let's try it with one number actually. So now you're gonna need to group these together. So format, group. So now when I move that, it will move that together. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to use developer and go to the macros. Now this person have created a code and I'm using his code, but I modified his code. He's got 3 codes that he did to make this protractor, and I'm only going to use one part of it. And just to show you here, this is the Visual Basic code that he did, and I need to focus on that. I'm using this bottom sub routine that he did here, and the subroutine, if the phone lets me do what I want. Okay, he called it sub protector 18 because I think he created 18 lines. So I've changed this because I need 29 lines in total. So reason why, because my divisions needs to be 29 of them, okay, and in total they're actually 27, but here you can see it's missing 2 portions, which makes 29. So what you do is you get the calculator and you divide 360 degrees by 29 sections, okay, 360 divided by 29 will give you 12.4137931 and so on, right? It's a long number, and to have it accurate it's important to put, you know, quite a bit of that number in the formula. And here you can see that I have put that number there, 12.41379310,344. Of course the number on the calculator is much longer than that if you want to, but I don't know if this will accept. It probably will. This is Windows here. But probably, I don't know how many bits of numbers that the software can handle, probably very high. So, and then what I've changed is I've changed his for loop. His for loop used to go 1 to 18, I think, and I've changed it 1 to 28. Now I actually needed 29, right? If you put 29, it will still work. But what I've discovered is, when I go back to my code here, I mean to my Word document, the line and the number that I've created, because it's already got the first one already that I've created manually. When this code recreates it, okay, when it recreates it, it's saying duplicate, select. So in actual fact, you need 29 minus the one that I've already did, so I've put 28. So the for loop here, he used a variable called HBN. You can put any name really there. And I know nothing about Visual Basic. All I know is how to program microcontrollers with Pig Basic Pro. And I know a bit of C. That's about it. Okay, now Visual Basic, obviously it's similar, but you need to study how the software is, and I never really looked at this before in my life. So until I come across it with this person that shows you how to make a protractor. So the for loop there is creating a counter here. So the counter is going to count from 1 to 28, and it's going to put it in the variable HBN. And then the next line is selection, shape range, duplicate, and select. And then it does selection, shape range, rotation equals the variable, that means which counter number we're up to here, times 12.4137931, which is the degrees of how I need to divide those 29 lines by. And then next HBN, next variable, and it starts again until it comes to 28. Once it counted up to 28, then the for loop will be finished, and it will go to the next line after that, which is active document dot shapes dot select all, and it selects all of them, and it says end sub, which end the subroutine that of this program counter here, or program little program macro that okay. So this is still the same PC with just 2 screens on it. So now we go. I need to make this smaller so you see what I'm doing. Now we choose, so that's the software I'm going to use, and use macros, and that comes up. So I've modified this one, it says protractor 18, which is that bottom one there called protractor 18, and you go run, press run, and we have an error. My God. And why is that? Why do we have an error here? Have I changed something? Okay, let me pause it and find out. Okay, the reason why we had an error is because I didn't highlight the, by the time to show you the program, the line was not highlighted. So the line has to be highlighted, of course the number 2, because it's been grouped. And now we'll press macro, run, and we'll run it. So it's creating your numbers, your 29 lines. Okay. So now we go to format, align center, align middle, okay, and it's a file there. Now, as I said, I'll have to see if this is going to work out, because before originally I've sort of created it a bit differently. So because I got 29 lines, right? But when you align it center and then you align it to the middle, the same line is going to create, when it crosses the middle, you're going to think there's another line, which there is, but it's the same line. So what we have to do is, I have to divide that line by 2 to get the radius only, because at the moment it's like a diameter. So instead of I got 29 lines, now it's going to look like there is 58, but in reality there's only 29 lines. It's just the way they've been aligned by the Word document here, align center, align middle, they come like that, which comes a circle. But so what you do is you click out, so they're ungrouped. You click on one of the lines, doesn't matter where you start. You go format, that's the number there, it's 8.48. Now the line was actually 8, but because it's got the number with it, okay, it's a bit longer. So let's say I put 4 centimeters long, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so you see what happened now? I've reshortened, I've made that line half long. So now we took it out here in the bottom. So what you do is you jump to the next one, okay, and you make it 4 centimeters. 4 centimeters, enter. Okay, and you see how I'm removing, it looks like I'm removing one line, but I'm actually removing half the line. We go 4. Okay, did I make a mistake there? Let's go back. I clicked on the wrong one, so gotta click on that one. 4, and so on, right? Let's see what we get. So every second one, I'm changing the size to 4. This is sort of a new way of doing it, and the first time I've done it, actually it wasn't as neat as what I'm doing now. So this is, I found a better way, and that's what I'm showing you now. So the first time I've done that was a lot of manual fixing up. So it's still a bit of time consuming. And remember, they would be at 12 something degrees. So let's see when I do them all. And of course, some of these numbers now, because I didn't use the first system I used, they will be what's going on here? Let's see. Is this one? Now this word system here have a habit of changing the font sizes because I'm changing the length. I'm not sure why that happens. You know, but it doesn't matter. You can always change them later. Okay. Originally, I've done 2 lines with 2 numbers on each side, but now I thought it probably can still work by a different way. And yes, it does. So there you go. Now I have 29 lines divided by 12.41379 degrees, which is the correct way for this. So now I need to delete 2 lines because it only goes to 260 volts, and it's got two portions missing to get it to 360 degrees. So it doesn't matter where you delete. Okay, so now this one, what have I done? Header, why did that come on? Okay, now what we need to do is select objects, and I want to ungroup it because I need to gotta go to format, group, ungroup. I need to swap the numbers over for the degrees. So you click now on each number, you go format. Okay, let's change the number to 0 because that's the first one, for example. 0. The degrees is wrong. Format, you would go to degrees, change it by 90, and it changed the font, you see. So okay, let's change the font to, okay, it doesn't let me change any smaller. Okay. I'm gonna have to do this manually. But what you could do here, I'll put that there for now. You go to format and you can change the sizes here. So if it looks like it's a bit too big, so I'll put okay, the camera have stopped the recording because I had too many files there. So where was I? I was just continuing here, is to change the numbers over. Okay, and you change the degrees, 90 by 90 again, and what am I doing? If it lets me click on it. You put 30. Okay, and so on. And you adjust all the numbers. You have to put them all manually, all around. And of course here, the thickness of the line, which I probably should have done in the beginning. Remember, I'm not an expert in using Word or doing these type of things. Format, you go shapes, weight, and you change the thickness of the line. So there I've changed that. If you're not happy with it, if you want it thicker, go to the next step, you know. But if I done that in the beginning before the macro, then I won't have to do them all manually again. Okay, but that's all right if you want it to come good, you know. Of course, also when I divided the diameter of the line by 2, I really should have divided the whole number that was given me of the length and the format here. I think it was 8.34 or something, and I made it to 4, which was much less than the half of it. But it doesn't matter. It just as long as it's going to suit to what you're doing, and you can always change the line length after. Now regarding the fonts sizes, as you can see, by changing the number. So at the moment that's 025, and now I'm gonna put where are we up to? 40. Okay. The font have changed. Now, for anybody there that knows how to know why that happens, or what you can do if you want to have fixed fonts and where it doesn't change on you, I don't really know how to do that, but this is the first time I've done this, and or the second time now that I'm showing you. And then of course, depending on how many numbers there is, it changes the font. So obviously it's got to do with the size to where it starts and the position, and it's trying to, the software background must be trying to compress it to fit it between its own boundaries, I'm assuming. Something like that. But what I did when I had different, if that's a 2-digit number there, and if it's a 3-digit number, it's going to be a different font, is I increased the fonts accordingly to what numbers I'm up to, whether it's 1-digit, 2-digit, 3-digit, to make them look similar, the same size. And if the font itself cannot do it, so for example, this is got a set font, and the minimum is 8. Then you change it on the right hand side here. Shape width. You can change the shape width, which eventually will change your font, and then you can change the shape height as well from there. So if you probably have a lot of experience on this, you'll know what really the right way of doing things from the start, so there'll be less error fixing, and you'll spend less time on it. But again, there's probably better graphics software that can do these jobs for you. I do not have that software. How I said, I will thank that person, which I'm not sure of his name, I'll be honest with you, from hbninfotech.com, because without him looking at his video on how to make a protractor, I couldn't have created what I did here. So I thank him and many people that spend time making videos, and like in YouTube, and people can learn and to do something for themselves. And that is why I am actually putting my video on YouTube, is to give back some of the stuff that I've learnt from other people. So that's why I'm doing it. And also I wanted to say, right, and if you watch the video from this person, he shows you from start to finish how to get developer working, and how to set up this Visual Basic, and from his website he'll give you the code, and you will import that code into the Visual Basic code entry place, and how to save it and all that stuff. Now, one thing I did have, right, when I did what he explained, the program would not work, because he tells you to save the document, the first document you create, right? Just to give you an example, save as, and he says, so it'll be compatibility mode. You'll save it under where are we here? 97 Word 97 to 2003, for example, right? If you're using Word document version 10, Microsoft Word 10, which this is what this is, and you save it under that. Now, when I did that, okay, it would not compile. When I run the Visual Basic, the macro here, and I hit run, it will create an error. Now, one of the errors was it will stop at, see, there's an exclamation mark at the top where he's got HBN. Actually, I'm not really showing you here on Visual Basic. Okay. Where he's got the inverted comma there, that means is to make this line here not valid. So it's only a comment. So he commented at this line by putting that. For some reason, when you copy the file over into Word, this apostrophe, or whatever you want to call it, it sort of looked a bit different, and it didn't make this green. It still made it like a line. So it was reading it as a code. So then I had to backspace this. I'll show you. I had to backspace, okay, and put the apostrophe again. And then it made it green. That means it becomes just a comment in software code. So that was one problem. Then I've tried compiling it again, or running the macro. Okay, back to here. And I have to make it smaller to see. When I go the macros and I go run, it's still done the error. And no matter what I did, it came up with an error like error, I can't remember now, 44 something, or, and looked up on the internet, and it says that's because the line is not recognizable according to the what it's been saved at, the name of the file. That wasn't a problem at all. So I spent a lot of hours. In actual fact, I was going to give up because it would not work. At the time, I was trying to just recreate the protractor exactly to how this person shows you. So I wasn't trying to make this or anything like that. And I was going to give up until I thought, you know, maybe it's got to do with the save as. And that's what it was. And what I did, he tells you to save it under 97 to 2003, something like that, right? But the only, that how I said wouldn't work. And then I tried, I saved it under Word 2003 hex XML document. And when I saved it under the XML, which you could see here, okay, it's saved under .xml. Okay, I saved it under that, and when I ran the macro, it ran. So that was the problem. So for some reason, maybe it depends on what version of Microsoft Office you have. This is Microsoft Office 10. It might work on the other section that he tells you how to save it at. But what worked for me is to save it under XML. So just in case anybody was trying to do this and it would not work, you need to try that. After watching his video, it could work, saving it under what he explains in the video, or if you have an error, save it under .xml and it will work for you. That's what I found for me. So that's the end of this section of the AC Variac Power Supply. So I've explained now how I've done the graphics of the variable, the scaling of the voltage display screen for it. Okay. So now, what I had to do here, is this is going to be my rotary switch. Okay, amps and time select, because my circuit is going to have, I'm going to have the trip point in amps, and I'm going to have the time delay of when it would trip after it's gone over the trip point. And I've got a trip switch, sorry, I've got a trip time times 2 switch. So if I go down to the bottom here, okay, what did I write there? I'm not really set up here with this camera, it's just using my phone here. It goes from 0 to 1 second. So I can increment pretty much like 1 millisecond up to 1 second, and then when I press the switch by 2, it will double it. It will be 2 seconds, which probably I'm never going to really use. It's only if you're going to have something like running a motor or something like that with your Variac. But I've put it in because I could do it, had the facilities and the circuit to do it. So anyway, I still have to show you the circuit that I did for it. And so that's going to be the cutout for the alphanumeric LCD screen. That's for the analog meter, which is this one here. And I'm going to have a neon light for a trip, and then the switch to reset, the reset switch, and the off and on switch for the main power. And this is the actual outlet, the GPO outlet for the output supply. And so yeah, I'm working on that. So pretty much now I have put that on the aluminium, and it's gonna, got it upside down again. Yeah, so then this will help you put this on the aluminium, and to see if you need to do any adjustments, if you need to move the holes that you need to do over, and you measure. You got to do double, you know, about 3 times at least to get it right. So for example, these 3 switches, these are the switches that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to use one of these pre-made sort of circuit boards like this. Okay, so then it's no point just putting these on the graphics here where you want. Right, I'll show you why. Because if you, they might look good here. Like I had to change this. Originally, I can't have this how I want it because I'm using the same box. So because of the Variac here, there's things in the way where there's only a minimum space where I can put my control switches on the front panel. So I got to make sure it's not going to hit anything in the back inside where your Variac transformer is. But for example, with the switches, they're going to be those 3 switches there. In the end, you have to really know how you're going to mount it, so what you're going to use. So I mounted these there. Then I got my vernier here, and I measured exactly how the spacing, okay, to how they're going to fit on the circuit board, because you can't put it where you want. You're going to put it exactly where these holes are and how these switches are going to fit, and they got to be in line, right? So then I measured here the spacing, and then I readjusted the coordinates here to get that matching this, the distances. So this has got a ruler here, the software. So I'll It's got a ruler there. So you choose the ruler and then you measure, let's say, from that point to this point. And down here, okay, it tells you the distance. So for example, that's 36 millimeters. If this is focusing, of course, because this phone has a habit of not focusing. So 36 millimeters apart between that point and that point. So that corresponds to this. So you constantly have to go to your hardware, see how your hardware is really going to fit, not unless you're making a circuit board and then you'll make it exactly to whatever you've drawn. But because I haven't made a circuit board, I'm using a pre-existent board, right? I'd have to put the switches there and then measure to get them equally, that it's going to fit close to what this is, and then I have to adjust the drawing, the graphics, okay, to suit this. So that's what I did. So you got to do this same, you know, the holes, and you got to measure, you got to make templates to see. For example, this was another template that I did. Okay, so there you go, right? To test it out, that's going to fit okay. Okay, so you have to be prepared to do, if you want something to come up pretty good on your job, you have to do a lot of work, especially if you don't have, like me, good design softwares and things like this. But these are just basic things, free software I got over the net, and I have done work with them before. It's only for a hobby. Yeah, so I'll stop there. Okay, so after printing the artwork for the panel, there's my aluminium plate, which is going to cover this. It's slightly smaller, it's done on purpose, so the frame, when the cover goes back on, this thing, because it's got the bent front here, it will slide onto there, okay, and therefore I had to make the plate a bit smaller to allow for the edge of the this border here. Okay, so I've carefully placed the paperwork, the printed artwork on a paper with tape. I taped it to the steel aluminium plate, so then I can drill the holes, which of course they're going to align to these 4 holes here to hold the Variac, which I already tested that with this to make sure that was correct. Okay, so I will punch the holes here where I'm going to drill the holes. So I will do that. Okay, so I've put the plate on another bench here, and I'm going to be carefully punching the marking, center punch the where I'm going to do the holes. Start with the Variac. Okay. Sometimes, even if you be careful, it still won't come 100% exactly where you put the punch. Amazing. It sort of moves on you. Okay. And I suppose. These four, I'm not going to try to punch them for the LCD screen because I will try to hide them behind the other panel of the box, of the enclosure box. So I've done the four, the middle hole has to hold the Variac transformer, that's the rotary switch, that's a switch going to be ×2 for the time, setting the amps and setting the time switch, reset switch for the circuit breaker when it's tripped, and the trip light there, and the main switch will go there. So for now I'll just do that, and I drill the holes and then see if it lines up, hopefully, onto where I'm gonna mount it on the enclosure box. And actually I gotta cut out the paper, which I should have done this before, but around where my meter is gonna go. Just might as well cut where the switch is gonna go to. Okay. So now I'll be drilling small drill as a pilot hole. Okay, so one more hole here. So drill all the small holes. And as well, I always find to have the small a bit smaller. So if you need to, it didn't come exactly correct, 100%, you can file it to move it a little bit. If you use a smaller drill than the original hole that it needs to be. Also, this aluminium is very soft, and with soft aluminium it's very hard to drill properly. That's what I find. It tends to move more because the aluminium is soft. And even at the back, when you drill with soft aluminium, it tends to push the aluminium out and it doesn't do a nice cut. Even if you drill a sharp. So I'll test it out. Okay, so I tested it, looks like it's going to be okay, so I'll use the right drill now. I've got to make the center hole for the shaft, 8mm, so this is 8.5. Okay. Okay, so now I have stuck the same paperwork. I cut it off from the plate and I stuck it on the enclosure box, because now I have to line up everything on this as well. So we're going to have new holes on this too as well that haven't been covered before. So there's one there. The only problem with this is I do not have a bit of a backup to for the plate not to move, enclosure not to move when I'm punching it. Let's see if I can build something to back up. Just need a bit more. Okay. Still. Okay, now I put a bit of a back support. Okay, I think there's nothing there. And that's it. Okay, now I'll move the support a bit down here. Where the LCD screen is going to be, because I need to drill those holes. See, it still didn't come right. Even though I'm trying hard. And this one. Okay. So now I need to drill those new holes. So So this one's got to be drilled by hand. Very thin this. Okay, that's that. I didn't show this, but the hole have been cut with the hole saw on the drill press, and the LCD's hole will probably be cut. I drill holes, maybe run the jigsaw, or drill a lot of holes, and then when you break the section off, then you just file it. Yeah.